I'm Kris. That's Tyler. We just wrapped up week 11, which feels unbelievable considering how fast things go. But they say time flies when you're having fun. We have a lot of college football to get into, obviously. I don't know if I already said it, but that's Tyler. I'm Kris. Dog, I want to open up with the Ohio State-Purdue game. It was business as usual in what was a little bit of a sleepy game at first. Ohio State ends up taking care of business. And not a ton of storylines here. Maybe the biggest storyline from the Ohio State-Purdue game was who didn't play Carnell Tate. The reports coming out from the Ohio State sideline was that he, they maybe were worried about something, felt something pregame and didn't want to risk it. Maybe a little bit of load management in college football. But initial thoughts on the, the Purdue-Ohio State game.
What's a worse place to play in the Big Ten? Purdue, Illinois, Purdue, Illinois, or Northwestern?
What's the worst place?
Yeah.
Illinois. Illinois is the sleepiest. And
you think so?
Yeah, Illinois is the sleepiest. And then the other part of it is we do not have a recent upset against Illinois. So it's it makes it even more sleepy. At least for Purdue. I don't know. Maybe honestly, it's any of them. Maybe it's Purdue because Purdue, we always play Purdue when it's wet, cold, and rainy.
I have a crazy stat for you.
What do you got?
In the last 10 games, Ohio State's last 10 games at Purdue, what is their record?
Last 10 games at Purdue?
Yes.
They probably have just the one loss?
They're 5-5.
They're 5-5. That's an absurd stat. So maybe I was completely wrong. That's such a weird one, man.
This win yesterday got them back to 500.
Yeah, that's actually really disgusting. I hate that you said that, and I hate that it's true.
Fucked.
Yeah, that's so weird. Maybe it is Purdue. I mean, maybe that's historical context that I needed. But honestly, dude, like this game, obviously, week over week, you're looking for a checklist item. The checklist item this week, I feel was the running game getting closer and closer to figured out, because that plus the right guard spot are kind of the final two quote unquote infinity stones on this quest to repeat, and a historic repeat at that. We'll get to a little bit later. But I think Isaiah West and Bo Jackson are kind of equal talent, and when it comes to running the football, I think that Bo Jackson is just better in pass pro. And I think as the season kind of continues, the one thing I'm looking for Isaiah West to do is earn Ryan Day's trust even more, which I don't know if he gained or lost some this week. But I guess just general thoughts, big dog.
I think the running game, so Bo Jackson ran for 5.4 yards per carry.
Yeah.
And Isaiah West ran for 6.7. If you really think about it, those two guys' rushing numbers are really the ones that matters if they're and they had the most carries. Mm-hmm. Between the two of them, they had 25 carries. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other players that had carries, but that doesn't really matter. And those 6 guys combined for 20 carries.
Yeah.
So when I start looking at the numbers, as long as those two guys are running the ball well at a good clip, I think it's fine. What do we talk about today if Jeremiah didn't get the phantom block in the back penalty, which was a borderline call at best?
We're talking about a huge day from Isaiah West, and Bo Jackson being the new Nicholas Singleton and Kaytron Allen, two guys as freshmen that were the two best backs of the team.
That was a 75-yard touchdown run for Bo Jackson.
Or and for Bo, yeah, Bo Jackson.
It was electric. And it was an electric run.
I've done that twice now where I've actually just mixed them up on that run. No, that was crazy from Bo, man. That was crazy.
So to me, I thought they ran the ball better than they have in the past. I think in the past few games, I think overall I saw a push, especially to the left side. They got whatever they wanted to when they ran to the left side. And there was a lot of 10, 12, 13, 10, 12-yard runs in this game.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to count them up, but it felt like there was more than in previous games for sure.
There was, and I will say this Purdue rushing defense is horrible. Michigan pushed them all the way around last week, and Michigan's really one-dimensional. So, it's kind of it's good to see the Ohio State run game get going. It definitely does feel good. And obviously, in a time where you see everybody kind of struggling and having the blip on the radar, having the upset worthy moment, it's nice to see kind of Ohio State take care of business. What do you think about a Jeremiah Smith? Out of curiosity, do you think that was good for him to get some work without Carnell Tate out there? Because that's where my mind went. I think it's good for him to get some work without Carnell Tate out there.
Before I get to I'm going to put it out there that if Carnell, if we needed Carnell to play today, he would have played
yesterday.
I don't think there's any question in my mind he would have played. There's some, there's a lot of speculation on why he didn't play. He didn't play, whatever. I don't really care. It doesn't really matter to me. They were playing Purdue. They didn't need him to play. And if he was hurt, good. Rest.
No, I guess my only thing is like just separately, like I haven't heard anybody talk about it. I think it's cool for Jeremiah to get work without Carnell Tate out there because like
Sure.
you worry about doubling Jeremiah Smith when Carnell Tate's out there. But with no Carnell Tate out there, it's like, okay, like for Ryan Day, for Brian Hartline, like let me feature Jeremiah Smith for a moment in time, even when there's nothing that's stopping the whole world from being focused on him. I think I like that from him. It's like when you tell a boxer, like, go out there, but we're only going to work on your uppercuts, like in the sparring ring. So I thought that was really cool from Jeremiah. Made some ridiculous catches. I mean, just every week
dude,
something new with him.
We had been saying that he's LeBron for a long time.
Yeah.
And Jake Butt on the broadcast said it as well. Like I don't know what else. Like I don't know what else to say. He's just the best.
Yeah. And for me, that's why he's my Heisman vote. But again, like just business as usual. I don't want to spend too much time on the Purdue game.
He's going to be the best receiver in the history of the program with the best receivers.
Yeah.
It's a very simple way to put it.
You know what's funny? Like for Jeremiah Smith, him breaking all these records at Ohio State is coming. Like doesn't like that's cool or whatever. Like I like that. But for me, it's like bigger than that. For me, that's why he needs the Heisman. Because like his career numbers won't end up stacking up against some of the historic receivers across college football because there's always those really good receivers for the last 20 years that were just the only guy on their team for 4 years because they didn't go to the NFL and like all the stats that they put up. I want Jeremiah Smith to have the Heisman in his trophy case. That's how great I think he is.
That's fair. I mean, I have no issues. I think it's about time that an Ohio State player won a Heisman.
Agreed.
I mean, the last one has been Troy Smith.
Yep.
So but there's been too many great players over the last 20 years for us to not have one, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And there's no better person to have it than Jeremiah.
You want to hear something really crazy? Troy Smith won the Heisman in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremiah Smith was born in 2005. So no Ohio State players remember the Heisman being in Columbus.
So old, bro.
Yeah. Jeremiah Smith was born November 29th, 2005, which I believe his birthday will be the day of the Big Ten championship game.
2005, bro?
Correct. Yes, 2005.
I met my wife in 2003. What the fuck?
Yeah. Something crazy for you. I do want to pivot games to the other Big Ten game, the big Big Ten game of the day. No, I'm not talking about Indiana versus Penn State. I'm talking about Iowa, Oregon. Look, I've been challenging anybody that listens to the show. I've been challenging anybody that I talk to about college football in general. Go watch Iowa. They are a good football team, and I'm glad that they played well enough to, I hope, show the country they're a good football team. Now, there is kind of a helmet scouting thing, and I'm expecting to see some of the SEC people say, oh, like, well, Oregon struggled to beat Iowa, and it's Iowa. But no, like, this Iowa football team's a good football team, and I thought that game went perfectly for the Big Ten. Iowa did not get blown out. Iowa had a chance to win the game, but the real big dog in the Big Ten, one of the bigger dogs, the upper echelon team, Oregon, won, and they're going to remain a top 8 team, hopefully bump up even more because they now have a quality win. I thought it was great. I don't know where you're at with that game.
So I'm trying to find, okay, here it is. This is a direct quote from one Kris Drew. I said, Iowa at night in the rain, never lost until last night. And this is the quote that Kris Drew responded with. Dude, that's what I was saying. Rain dance, devil magic with exciting whites. Listen, weird stuff happens. I think people say a lot of things like weird stuff happens in stadiums, blah, 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 blah. But here's the thing. Weird stuff happens in certain stadiums when that team is a good football team.
Correct.
Nothing weird happens in Iowa when they suck. Nothing weird happens in
I mean, didn't they suck in 17?
I mean, they were like an 8. I think they won like 8 or 9 games.
Okay, they did have two
they weren't like
ridiculous
an ass
halves, though.
team.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
But like Iowa's defense is real. They're always in position. They're always where they're supposed to be. They get less. They get more out of less when it comes to talent.
Correct.
And then like I was a little concerned early in that game when they botched the punt snap and they kicked it out. I was like, that is the thing that they can't do.
Yeah.
That's what happened there was something that they needed Oregon to do.
Correct.
And I'm not going to sit here and say that it is. I still think Oregon's a really good football team. I still think that. But Iowa made Oregon uncomfortable because they are also a good team.
Correct.
Now, unfortunately, like they've been eliminated. Like they have 3 losses, and like
that's fine.
It's
Not everybody
okay.
can get to go to the dance.
Yeah, but I think I think that they deserve respect. I think them playing when they're a good team and you play at that stadium at night, they make you very uncomfortable, and that's what happened.
I think it's important that they didn't get blown out too, because I think it forces the committee. We're going to learn a lot about the committee this next week. Obviously, they kind of told us and set up what they view as, okay, look, this is our initial rankings, and we kind of decipher what the committee values.
Mm-hmm.
I am a firm believer, I will stand on this, that Iowa should not move back a single slot for competing the way they did against Oregon. I mean, they legitimately had a chance to win the game. And Oregon and Dante Moore, who I would argue had the Heisman moment of the weekend, if there was a Heisman moment to even give out, led a great drive to go down and get them in field goal range. Iowa at number 20 did exactly what they were supposed to do.
You know what was interesting, though? The only thing I will say to criticize Oregon is I felt like they waited until they had to do it to go win the game to like flex their athleticism. Like, why did you wait so long to do that? And maybe like Iowa maybe didn't allow them to do that, but it's like at some point.
No. Pause. You're up. Your head coach is a defensive coach. You're winning the football game. You don't want to the weather's bad, so you don't want to risk opening it up or slippery football. So it's like you're up, and Iowa's offense is not really that great. So I mean, you're up most of the game, and it's like okay, like if they stop Iowa on one of those final drives. And Iowa doesn't go up. It's like, okay, like they made it out of there clean.
Yeah, I just feel like Oregon, and maybe I just thought Oregon, I overthought how good Oregon was too, as well. And like, I was like, man, I really wish they would have, shown me a little bit more, press the buttons a little earlier in the game, but they did what they had to do. And, it's credit to Iowa. Like, Dan
Lanning will not press the button in the rain.
Which I find ironic because, like, they live in the Pacific Northwest. It always fucking rains up there.
I know. Like, the weather was horrible in the Wisconsin game, the last game that Oregon played. Dante Moore did leave the game with an ankle injury, but he left it in the second half. You know how many yards he had passing?
It wasn't a lot.
It was 86.
Yeah.
So it's like Dan Lanning, like as a defensive head coach, he's like, look, I really trust my defense. I don't want to have to get in track meet. I'm not going to spray the ball if it's raining. That's kind of what happened. Yeah. I mean, like Dante Moore had less passing yards than Iowa.
Yeah, that was nuts.
But we know the big balls
do it. And the thing about it too is, I think that also why Iowa shouldn't drop, like what you're saying, is because Iowa showed that they also when they needed to do it, they could throw the ball down the field too.
Yep.
There were some big boy throws Gronowski made. Big boy throws.
He does make some big boy throws. They're so funny, obviously, because Iowa didn't have a single receiver that had more than 2 catches.
Which is nuts.
10 completions. I believe 6 of them were on the final drive.
And like it was raining. Like the weather was ass. It sucked.
I'm glad the Vanderzee kid made a big catch because, like, all week I've been telling you the Vanderzee kid. You watch the game, he's not doing anything the entire game until the final drive.
Yeah. The rain, I will say the rain absolutely helped Iowa. 100% helped them in that sense. So it was a really competitive, awesome football game.
And that's what makes winning in the Big Ten this month really difficult.
Yeah, and like Iowa's going to get another chance. They get to play USC.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a game. This is a little bit of foreshadowing, but I feel better about USC against Oregon than I do about them against Iowa.
That makes sense because like when Oregon is challenged to like spread the ball around and really throw it, they look better than when they're trying not to make a mistake. Like Dan Lanning's doing the Ryan Day thing a couple years ago. Like let's try not to make mistakes.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing. Even though they're capable on the outside to go do it, because not anymore put some throws on tape that's like, oh my god, like they would have done that. Like that's, but obviously it's the high risk high reward thing.
Yeah.
So.
It was awesome. It was a fun game to watch for sure. So I got to watch more football this week than I have in a while.
It's got to feel nice. It's
nice. Cool.
And Oregon's going to move up, obviously, because BYU lost, and kind of the fashion that we thought they would lose. They just outclassed, outdone. Like BYU couldn't hang with Texas Tech. Period.
No. BYU, if they play Texas Tech again, Texas Tech is going to beat their ass again.
Yeah.
BYU just looked like a BYU team looks against a team with significantly more talent.
Yeah, no, I agree. And also, like, I didn't even think that Morton played that well. And
no.
like Morton did not play well. And
they couldn't finish drives, and they still scored 29 points. They couldn't finish any drives. And
my guy Jacob Rodriguez, man, 14 tackles, 9 solo tackles, 1 tackle for loss. He is so good, Tyler.
That's a A+ mustache too, dude.
Yeah, dude. He looks like, what's the guy from Narcos?
Oh, I know here. Pablo. He doesn't look like Pablo Escobar.
No, not Pablo Escobar, the cop that has it.
I know who you're talking about. He's actually a pretty famous actor.
Yeah, I can't remember his name though.
Yeah. But yeah, Texas Tech is legit. In my top 15, I have them just behind Notre Dame. Okay. And I'll go through the top 15 at the end. But I think Texas Tech is a pretty good team. I just think Notre Dame is just better. Yeah. But we'll get into that.
Penn State versus IU was the social media game of the week. Indiana, obviously, Sig beforehand. They came up to Sig and said something about, like, you guys have never won here, blah, 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 blah. And he said, well, this team's never played here. And I thought that Indiana was going to go belt to ass. I did think, though, there was an element of danger because Penn State definitely is a talented football team. But reports from earlier in the week from the open period at practice for the media, that Penn State media that went, there was a consensus amongst all the beat writers that this was the lowest energy that they had seen Penn State be in over a decade. And when I saw that report, I didn't even want to preview the game. I'm like, this Penn State team is going to lay down and die. Like, that's it. Like, they've been kicked while they're down. Obviously, like, getting outclassed by Ohio State the way they were the week before. Like, it's over. But they played really well, dude. And the denied Dennis Sutton kid, I felt like was in the backfield the entire game. When you saw him flash early, it was like, oh, okay, this could get interesting. And then Nicholas Singleton, who's been a 2-pack, a 3-pack, a 4-pack of ass the entire year, remembers that he's one of the better running backs in the Big Ten, finally. And we see this Penn State team get going and put Indiana in danger. I do have my scope of takes on this game, but I want to ask you your thoughts on the game before I give you mine, and because I think we might be close to the same page, but I'm not sure.
My first inclination was, I wonder if there are sideline reporters when they ask these coaches these questions and they give these super lame answers. They're just in their head. They're just like, bro, what? Come on. Like, I think Cignetti is a really good coach. His bravado in interviews isn't really my style for my head coach. I think he's a really good football coach. I could personally do without the bravado, but I know there's a lot of people that like it. So it's just, what cup of tea do you like? It's not really for me.
It's not even it's not even about that cup of tea. You have to like the Indiana bravado. You know why he's doing it?
I know why he's doing it.
How else do you build a brand? You're Indiana. People have to acknowledge you as a winner, including the media. The media coming to ask me, you guys never won here. It's like, man, this is new here. Things are new now. You need that style of bravado.
I get it. It's okay.
No. You would like it if he was younger. He's just a little too old for it, bro. It's like the old man to be popping shit because when Dan Lanning did this shit, it didn't even rub anybody the wrong way. The only thing that rubbed Dan Lanning the wrong way was when he jumped in the pool with the high schooler shirtless. People get rubbed the wrong way when you act or do things that we view are for younger people. That's all it is.
Yeah, but like his bravado, Cignetti's bravado is it can be a little corny
because he's old.
And maybe that's true. I'm saying, look, I'm not saying that you're wrong for liking it.
No,
I don't disagree. It's just my thing. It's just not
when people do things that other people view. Oh, like that's really something for younger guys.
And speaking of Dan Lanning, that's not my guy either. So that's your guy.
That's
clearly
that's only your guy
you into the pool. My friend, have a type.
No. That's just everybody was rocking with Dan until he did that thing where he took.
I never rocked with. I was never. You could tell. I've never been a huge Dan Lanning fan. I respect Dan Lanning, but I've never been like a Dan Lanning guy.
Well, because you're not an anybody guy. There's no.
I'm a Ryan Day guy. What you mean? I'm a Nick Saban, Kirby Smart guy.
You're a Kirby Smart guy.
I do like Kirby Smart.
He looks like reanimated Chucky doll with a horrible.
I will say this about Kirby Smart. I've been a little turned off by Kirby Smart in the last 18 months, like the last 2 seasons with his whining.
Yeah.
He's become a little whiny. And so I'm a little turned off by that. But I'm a Ryan Day type of like PR type of guy for my coach.
Okay.
That's my personal.
Anyway, that's boring. You also like vanilla ice cream. I like
winning.
Dog. Okay, heard. Got it. Anyway, go on. Indiana.
The game itself. The big thing that I took away from the game was I think Indiana, there's Jim Knowles may have shown Matt Patricia a little bit of something. They were bringing a ton of pressure that game.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Knowles called that game like he had nothing to lose because he didn't. And you just wonder, will Matt Patricia use that as, an avenue of seeing like maybe we can do a little bit of this. That's the first thing I took away. The second thing I took away was I was literally thinking while that game was happening, I was like, they're going to hire Terry Smith if they win this game. They're going to just take the interim tag off of Terry Smith when they win this game. And the last thing was, and it really became from the aftermath, and I'm sure you're going to want to talk about this, so I'm going to tee you up here.
No, don't tee me up because I've got my own set of thoughts on Indiana first.
Okay, well, there was a lot of Gus Johnson essentially giving Fernando Mendoza the Heisman was laughable to me because they were in that situation because Mendoza was not good.
Bingo.
And okay, so you got a way to dig he dug himself out of his own grave, but dog, Julian Sain went bell to ass against the same team last week.
Mm-hmm.
Literally last week.
7 days ago.
7 days ago, Julian Sain threw for 4 tugs and 300+ yards and was out of the game at the end of the fourth quarter.
People are
not throwing up a prayer off your back foot for your receiver to make a sick catch. By the way,
BIG10, one of the greatest catches.
That catch was insane, bro. Even my wife was like, "Oh my god, he did it!"
Yeah, and also shout out to the ref for making that play.
Did you see the ref? He was dialed. He was looking right there.
Yeah, dude, they should give a ref Heisman, and that should be that ref's Heisman moment.
Dog, that ref needs to be. That is teach tape.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to be in Miami in January for the national title.
Bingo. You know what Rawlings does for Gold Glove winning pitchers? They make you your pitcher's glove, but they put the gold whatever on it, for each Gold Glove you earn. They should do that for refs. If you get a 5-star play, I want to like a medal. I want to see one gold star.
Generals with stripes.
Yeah.
In the Army.
Yeah, and if you have 5 of them, if you got 5 gold star level plays, you get a golden whistle. Forget the black whistle. Get a gold one.
You get a gold whistle, mm-hmm. And then you have a crew of gold whistle guys, and they just ref the best games every week. The best game of the week, they get it.
I'm saying the sport's competitive, make reffing competitive so we get better refs.
Hey,
encourage that.
Dabo Sweeney would give you a hug right now.
Yeah, that's my idea.
Which is crazy because you said some wild stuff about Dabo Sweeney.
Yeah, If Dabo tried to hug me, I'll flick him so hard in the forehead and say some crazy disrespectful stuff. But I was never wrong. Just early. Okay, this is where I'm at with Mendoza. Do you know how many yards Mendoza threw for against Michigan State?
Not a lot, because according to Mendoza, if you're gonna not let us throw, we're just gonna run it down your throat.
No. Michigan State threw for over 300 yards.
Oh, that was Michigan State. Okay,
yeah.
You talk about a different game.
Then UCLA, they scored 56 points. He threw for under 200. Then against Maryland, he threw for under 250. They scored 55 points. And then Penn State, they scored 27. After the Maryland game, he made the comment about if you're going to do the stuff to take away our run concepts, or take away our throw concepts, we're going to run the ball for whatever down your throat. Cool. I wonder because then here we go. Zach did a breakdown on to see what Maryland did against Indiana to to quote unquote take away the passing concepts. You know what they did? They played press man and they played quarters. That is not the let's take away our passing concept stuff. What I think may have happened is I think Mendoza may have gotten figured out.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they're going to be able to pivot and adjust. Now, but Kris, it's only whatever game sample size. Again, that's 3 straight games where Mendoza has not looked great throwing the football. And I think that once you get figured out, it's up to your coaching staff and obviously your OC and your quarterback to try to pivot and work through it. I'm wondering if that's what's going on. Because Mendoza to start the year was on a crazy heater. And press man and quarters, I'm sorry, that's not doing extra stuff to shut down your passing concepts. It's just not. And it does make you wonder when Ohio State gets to play Indiana, if they end up playing in the Big Ten title game, what Matt Patricia is going to have for Fernando Mendoza. And for Fernando Mendoza, while echoing the messaging of his head coach, may have tipped his hand. Mendoza told the whole world, every coach, with that viral clip that I love, I think it's also, I love Mendoza's voice, that quarters and man-to-man coverage are enough to take me away. Well, guess what Ohio State can do? Ohio State can play quarters and man-to-man coverage and also stop you from running the football. So he may have tipped his hand.
I'm going to ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
This is a very futuristic question here. If you are Fernando Mendoza and Curt Cignetti, are you thinking about how Matt Patricia could expose you so bad that everybody gets to see it before the playoff?
Absolutely.
That would make me super nervous if I was them.
Yeah. And again, here we go. I think Mendoza's awesome, but he's definitely been slowing down recently. And it just makes me wonder, has he been at least figured out a little bit? Now, I will give Indiana credit. That final drive was incredible.
Yeah, that was
to take.
He definitely stepped up. It was big. He made some big time throws,
big boy throws. You know who he looks like to me? He looks just like Jared Goff to me. Like the body type, like the long athlete. Obviously, it's funny because they both went to Cal. He looks just like Jared Goff to me in terms of physically. He's a bigger guy, not a huge arm, but a really efficient arm and can make every throw. And it looks like a really easy ball to catch. But he had a huge drive. I don't think that you can have a Heisman moment against a 3-5 football team.
You can't. I don't think you can have a Heisman moment when you create your own Heisman moment.
Yeah,
it's your fault.
That too.
It's like you were the one that played so bad that you created this.
I do need to talk about it just because I think this is in play for this Indiana team. They also did it without their best player on offense.
Yeah, that's true. I did notice that. Surratt was out. And he's really good. He's real good.
Oh, look, the other kid is also really good. The other kid's a freak. And Roman Hemby is also a freak. So they're a good football team with a lot of good players. But that was a crazy scare. And it's going to lead to the next set of questions. I know Indiana fans want to beef with Ohio State fans, and I got a whole video come out on that. I don't know where you're at, Tyler, but I'm not beefing with Indiana fans ever.
I'm not either. Indiana fans, it's like Ohio State's the older brother.
Yes.
And they're like 18, and their youngest brother is just turned 13 and thinks that he's oh, I can play with you now.
No.
You're yeah.
It's the sophomore that acts like they're a senior. That's what Indiana is. And there was the kid at every school, and I will be with them. And part of it is like I gassed Indiana fans up, but not to attack me in Ohio State, to attack the SEC because they hate you.
Yeah.
Like they hate you, and they're rooting for you to fail. But what this is going to set up is you're already seeing now, A&M should be number 2. You're already seeing like this is not a like look at Indiana struggling with a horrible Penn State team.
Yeah.
This game went perfectly to set up the Big Ten traps all over the place, narrative-wise, if you want. What's the difference between the Penn State-Indiana game and the Georgia-Florida game?
Nothing. The same. They're literally identically the same game. It's just the Indiana game was a little bit more dramatic.
Right. But I'm saying like that. Like so one is, well, you can lose every week here. It's the SEC. And the other one is struggled with a horrible team. I mean, it is the exact meme of like the HR thing.
Yeah, and that's why I get annoyed. Like I get annoyed with both the SEC, propaganda and like the big. It's the same thing now. It's the same thing. Both like you can't have it both ways. Like SEC doesn't get to say we can lose at any time, and then the Big Ten, it's like, well, and the Big Ten can't say this. It's just like the same. It's all the same shit.
But here we go. Wait a second, because one side is taking up arms. If the other side does not take up arms, what is that?
No,
That's
I know, and I'm not
war.
saying the Big Ten people do that. I'm just saying like it's all like the same shit. Anybody and NIL has brought everybody closer together, except for like it looks like Ohio State's just like yeah, we're not going to come down. We're just going to stay where we're at. Everybody else is going to fall off because that's what Ohio State does.
Well, pre NIL, you could like stack so many recruiting classes, and like it made it okay for you to miss on an eval, right? Because like you're so deep, and like I've got all this talent. So like here we go. My example that I've been using for this like theory. Then I'll get back to IU and the whole Big Ten SEC thing. My theory is okay. Like we'll use Texas. Texas has a greatly recruited offensive line, right? They're really good.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is those guys that are on the 2 deep or the 3 deep are not going there, or they're transferring out of there.
Correct.
That means if one player ends up getting disappointed, there's a bigger drop off between the guy that's supposed to be his backup and the guy that has to then play, creating like a weird sense of parity. And you almost have to hit on almost all your evals. Yeah. NIL made it so your evals meant even more. Because if you are Ohio State and say Arvo Reese isn't very good, and the guy that was in the 2 deep goes somewhere else, it's like, oh, that one really hurts.
The days of Georgia, the days of like the Miamis and the Alabamas, where it's like if you scroll like a 4-year window of time, there's like 75 draft picks. Those days are gone.
It's gone for everybody except for Ohio State. That's like the really like crazy fascinating thing, because it's like now Arch Manning has to be as good as we have to hype him up preseason. Because if he's not, then the whole program is going to have a massive drop off because like there's like a lack of depth, or you have to hit everywhere else. And so that's why we're seeing a lot of these games be a lot closer, because those backups that would be at Texas, or those backups that would be, at Georgia, well, oh, those guys are now playing at Texas Tech. Oh, like those guys are now playing at Auburn, who was in a close game against Vandy. So it's created like way, way more parity. But for Ohio State, it's like not that, because they are recruiting, they're keeping guys, and they also have like an NFL style of culture and identifying talent. I think that's really important.
I think that's Ryan Day's, the thing that Ryan Day doesn't get talked about enough about how he's, I think the one thing that's been most impressive to me in the NIL era is that he's been able to keep has there ever been a transfer out of Ohio State where like, damn, we're going to miss that one. Damn. I really wish we would have kept him. I don't think we've really had many of those.
I mean, no. I mean, like the ones we get are like weird deep cut ones. Like Hero Canoe would have been awesome here, but obviously it's not like a crippling one. Like Jameson Williams would have been awesome here, but like obviously like that receiver room was just fine. That wasn't annoying to see Jameson beat the best receiver in the country at Alabama. Absolutely. But there's never been like that like crippling like, damn it. And it also hasn't led to like a situation where someone got hurt and we looked and was like, damn, it would be nice to have him.
Yeah. I mean,
like I guess
everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like it would have been nice to have Hero Canoe when Edric Houston got hurt, but the D line depth ended up really showing out.
Yeah, and that was a question. We had a question mark. We had questions about the defensive line, but every program, Alabama lost. I mean, now this is a caveat. Losing Nick Saban, this was probably going to happen. But like losing Caleb Downs, we never had a situation like that. Georgia losing Damian Wilson, who's really good. That's like we haven't had that.
Yeah, they could have been.
So I think Ryan being able to create the environment where these kids want to stay, even in the NIL era, is honestly the most underrated thing I think he's done so far.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And also it's easy when you win, right? Like people don't want to leave championship.
Well, that's too.
Right. Like that was also like Nick Saban was going to be okay even in the NIL era because people didn't want to leave Alabama.
Yeah.
But then he left and then everything changed. And obviously like the thing that Alabama lost was also Julian Sayin. And that's like going to gear up for the next national title. But for Indiana, do you think A&M should pass them or will pass them in the next playoff rankings?
Do I think they should? No. Do I think the committee is going to do it? I would say it's 60-40 in favor that they will.
I would
just
have a
because
huge
I think
issue with them.
Absolutely. And everybody should have a huge issue. But I'm just saying, be ready for it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's right. The committee has shown us what they, I don't know if this committee has shown us yet, but committees of the past have shown us that if you struggle in a game that you win, you can fall down one spot. So we'll see what this committee is all about. But I don't feel good about it. If you were to ask me, if you made me bet on it right now, I would say the committee is going to put Texas A&M in front of Indiana. I do.
Yeah, and I think it'd be unfair. And I think Big Ten people should rightfully be frustrated by it because like Arkansas 42-45 against A&M. Just so you guys know, just so we're all.
I mean, going into the week, they were the 60th ranked defense.
Yeah.
No number 2 team in the country's ever had the 60th ranked defense.
But I do think it's going to work itself out. Like I think Indiana's in, right? Like they've taken care of all their major tests. Like they're in.
Yeah, they have Wisconsin next week. Then they have a bye. Then they have Purdue. I mean, they're going to sleepwalk to the Big Ten championship game. So they're in.
Yeah,
they're in.
100%. So it is funny just because like we're now like watching like in Indiana like talk about basically win the Heisman, like that's a Heisman moment, and that's kind of like distracting people from like the major thing that's going on with these I guess schools.
Yeah.
But there's just so many arguments ready to be had on both sides, and I think this game being a close game just strengthens like the conference war argument between the SEC and the Big Ten. And Penn State was always going to be a dangerous team. So shout out to
they're going to have a lot of draft picks on that team.
They do. I like the Denai Dennis Sutton kid a lot, dude. Like,
I'm also going to make you tell me right now: is Chaz Coleman entering the portal after the season?
Yeah, I think so.
Where's he going to go, Kris?
That's a really great question.
You don't have to answer that right now,
but I think that Blocko would look really good on him.
Same.
So that's kind of generally where I'm at. Also, dude, Jim Knowles with the Jim Knowles special at the end of games is like a tradition like no other.
Is he gonna? The new coach is gonna fire him, right?
There's a growing belief that if Hartline gets that job, which he wants, he will retain him. And that could come from the Rolodex not being as large as.
Do you think Jim Knowles would want to stay would work for Brian Hartline?
I think if Jim Knowles gets to be a mediocre DC and forces Penn State to fire him to get the rest of his buyout, yeah.
If I was Brian Hartline, I would not retain Jim Knowles. That is not. I don't need that personality in my program while I'm trying to figure out how to do this. That does not help me whatsoever. I don't need that. I don't need the headache. I don't need to be looking over my shoulder that my defensive coordinator is whispering that I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Or getting upset about whatever. I don't need that.
No, I agree with you, but it's also like the issue with the whole Brian Hartline rush up is that he's either got to trust his agent and who his agent wants to hire on his agent's client list, or trust the coach that he's worked with. Like that's what a lot of that is. Because
I am trusting Jim Knowles to be who I've known him to be.
Yeah, but also like they won a natty last year, so I don't know. It's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing. You know we've seen this before. When Marcus Freeman got the Notre Dame job and Tommy Rees was the OC.
And look how that worked out. That would be if I was Brian Hartline, I'm saying if you want me, either it's me and not him, or he gets or not. Pick who you want.
And honestly, like they would let him. They would let him. And that's funny because Ron said it when it happened. The best coach available next year for Penn State is James Franklin.
Yeah, it's tough.
Just saying, like it is. Okay, dude. The preseason quarterback hype train gets another one. Sam Levette out for the year. Drew Aller out for the year and not very good. Arch Manning, honestly, might be the best one of the group. Kate Klubnik, bad. Nussmeier, benched. I feel really vindicated with this one. I think.
Yeah, this was one I got wrong.
So quarterback.
I think it was more my own NFL team just drafting a 5'9" left-handed quarterback from Hawaii that made me like Nussmeier because he was the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
I think the more I watch LSU play, the more unattractive that job looks.
Really?
I just like where the talent, the defense is pretty good, but like I don't see any of the freak shows that you normally see on offense with LSU. Normally when you play LSU, it's just like, what is that? There's a couple of those dudes on both sides of the ball. The offense, I don't know if it's the coordinator. I don't know enough about the coordinator. Obviously, he's not doing a great job either. But I just don't see it. I don't see the playmakers. I don't see the dynamic playmakers at all. I don't see anybody that's able to stretch the field. I think all around it's a complete failure on all fronts when it comes to the LSU offense. I think the coordinator's ass, and I think the players are also just not LSU quality players.
Well, somebody lied along the way because Nussmeier.
100%.
Like Nussmeier told us, SEC Media did. They have a whole bunch of guys that run 4.3s and are freak shows. I didn't see not one freak show out there.
They must have been running a 35 meter.
Yeah, like haven't had the
35-yard dash, not the 40.
What did they say? 37.5 is what Mick was having him at in Florida. With all those 4.2s and 4.1s.
It's just a complete. Yeah.
I mean, and like watching him next to Ty Simpson, it's like, oh, that's a quarterback.
I think whoever gets the LSU job, it's going to be a major portal reload. I think you could say the same thing for Florida. I don't know if Penn State's going to be Penn State will probably be a big portal thing because they have a shit ton of seniors on that team, if I'm not mistaken.
And they're going to be, I mean, any job that opens up to that caliber with that amount of NIL are going to have to be big portal shoppers because of the depth they're losing and the seniors they have, plus like the stuff, plus in coaching changes, you end up bringing in less recruits as well. So you just have to be able to fill the roster.
Yeah. I just wonder which one is going to have more portal. And I think they're both going to, I think all three of them are going to have 50-ish plus portal additions, just because I also think that's just kind of the way that college football is now.
What are your thoughts on Bama?
So I wanted to talk about this. I did watch this game too. So Alabama's offense feels and looks awfully familiar from an NFL passing game concept look to it. It feels very similar to what Ohio State does. I think they attack all 9 quadrants of the field in their passing game. The confusing part, and because I'm trying to evaluate between Ty Simpson and Fernando Mendoza for the number 1 overall pick.
Okay.
And I'm very torn on both of them because I think Ty Simpson is very good, but they scored 20 points at home.
Yeah.
It's a very confusing thing to me. And he didn't throw an interception, 29 points against South Carolina, 37 against Tennessee, 27 against Missouri. They haven't had, they scored 73 points against UL Monroe. But I don't see it.
I mean, I think he's Kirk Cousins.
That could be a really good comp.
I think he's Kirk Cousins, and I think that a Kirk Cousins career is worth a top 5 pick. I think Kirk Cousins threw a bunch of yards for a long time.
It's just the Alabama team is very confusing to me because they feel like Ohio State light. They can throw the ball. They have good receivers. They're when I say light, I mean everywhere. The quarterback's a little bit worse. The receivers are a little bit worse. The running game is similar. The defense is
No,
a little bit
whoa,
worse. The
whoa.
defense is actually a lot worse.
Well, don't graze over that first part. Their rushing attack is horrible.
Yeah.
You know how many yards they ran for yesterday, Tyler? What their leading
Okay.
rusher went for? I'll tell you. I know.
21 yards. Yikes.
They cannot run the football.
No, they can't. And that's probably why their offense is just not scoring enough points.
So, like, their offense, Tyler, has to attack every quadrant of the field.
Yeah.
Because their version of, like, multidimensional is attacking different parts of the field because I can't run the ball at all.
Yeah, I'm just having a very hard time because I think if Alabama plays their A game offensively, they're a dangerous team to play. Like they can get you.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is like they have all these good players offensively, but like they can't run it and they just don't score a lot of points. And the defenses in the SEC aren't that good.
No.
They're not good enough for them to not be scoring enough points.
I was talking with Joshua Perry about this earlier today, kind of giving my thoughts, and we're kind of different on the Alabama thing. For me, why I think Alabama versus Ohio State would be a great natty is I hear everything you're saying about in terms of like their offense is like just a little eh. The thing that they have that like piques my ears up a little bit and like makes me raise my eyebrows, that would be NFL DC versus NFL OC.
Mm-hmm.
And what have I said the entire year? There's not a single college OC that worries me against Matt Patricia because we've been there. But the guy that has all the NFL schematic passing attack stuff makes me feel like, okay, they're going to get out of games in the playoffs and win. They're going to be okay. How are they going to look? Because I think that there is a collision course coming with Ohio State. Because I think they're just simply going to be able to NFL passing attack these schools to death along the way.
Yeah. Like when Alabama goes on drives and scores, it is extremely impressive.
Yeah.
It looks easy. It looks surgical. It looks explosive. And you're like, damn. But then you like look at the end of the game. It's like, well, why don't they only have like 24 points? It's like, what happened?
Well, because that's how NFL teams look passing wise, right? Like a good day on offense for an NFL team is over 20 points.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Chris, is they're not playing against NFL defenses. They should be scoring more points.
You just see the flash for a moment and then it goes away. No, I mean, I think you're 100% right. Now, they I mean, obviously, like 29 versus LSU, like I'm okay with, right? Like I'm not going to be a hypocrite. Like I've kind of acknowledged that I like the way Ohio State wins. Just kind of
LSU's
take
defense,
their business, game control.
I don't think there's been a unit that has flipped themselves more than LSU's defense did.
Yeah.
Their defense was horrible last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were tragically bad. And now they're like really good. And so it's just confusing to me, like how, but again,
and it's funny.
I'm not concerned about them. I thought they should have scored more than 20 points last night, especially at home against a team has nothing to play for and doesn't look very motivated to play, to be honest with you. And they just benched their quarterback in the middle of the game. Usually when the team watches their starting quarterback get benched, they're like, oh, I'll see you next week.
Do you want to, and I told myself I wasn't going to do this week. You know what the big issue, why the SEC feels a little bit bizarre and weird, and just another like data point for you? The best offensive coaches in the SEC are the guys from outside of the SEC, right? Mike Elko and the staff that he brought in is not an SEC staff. And they look like they're just a well-coached unit on that side of the ball because he brought in a bunch of guys from outside the SEC. And then additionally, Kalen DeBoer, his staff, NFL staff, their offense is coached well on the outsiders. The guys inside the conference, I mean, LSU, very poorly coached offense. Georgia, I'd argue that their offense is not poorly coached, but definitely not really, really good. And then Florida, they're poorly coached. We're looking at guys who can develop quarterback, guys who do a good job with quarterbacks. There's no reason for Nussmeier and Lagway to both get benched in the same weekend. That doesn't happen in the Big Ten. The Big Ten quarterbacks are coached better than 99% of SEC quarterbacks outside of Ty Simpson.
There's never been a time. Let me say this: when Urban Meyer got to Ohio State, within 2 or 3 seasons, the Big Ten had better coaches across the board than SEC. Nobody ever said that the SEC ever had better coaches than the Big Ten.
Right. That was
They
always
just
my
had
thing.
better players because
Bingo.
they paid them under the table.
Bingo.
That was the thing. They just had better so of course it makes the coaches look better when they got better players.
No,
Nobody there are very few coaches that can coach bad players to be good players. Like bad players. It doesn't happen.
It's just like when you're forced to try to win one way and you know how to do that, and then all of a sudden you get the thing that you lack the most, things are going to take off. It's like, what if you gave Josh Allen's body to Drew Brees 10 years into his career? I'm like, oh, you would have gotten the greatest ever because he already learned how to win with a little body and timing. Now, I definitely did like cherry pick like Elko and them, obviously, because staffs come from everywhere. And like Elko was obviously like a decent.
But there's no doubt, like the coaching in the SEC has always just been who the best recruiters are, not the best football coaches are.
Well, it's like the quarterback coaching in particular. Like I believe, like if you want to play quarterback at a high level, go to the Big Ten or Alabama.
And everybody and the SEC people they're gonna be like, well, we had the greatest coach of all time. Sure, yeah, cool.
Yeah, no.
What else you got?
Like just quarterbacks, right? Because like Maeva would be the second best quarterback or third best quarterback in the SEC, and I don't think he's a top 4 quarterback in the Big Ten.
Also, think about this. All of Saban's titles, I don't think of this. He won 6 titles at Alabama. I bet you had better, more talented quarterbacks, and all the other years that he lost than when he won.
You think so?
I mean,
yeah, because
Greg McElroy.
Yeah, because AJ McCarron won 2.
AJ McCarron was just okay.
Yeah.
Greg McElroy.
Well, can you tell me the quarterback in 2015?
Oh my God, what is his name? Blake Sims. No, that was 2014. 2015.
This is like my favorite Alabama trivia question again.
No, I can't.
Coker.
Oh my God, come on, bro. He was on MTV in high school. That's what I'm talking about.
That's my favorite Alabama trivia
bro,
question.
He was on MTV.
Mm-hmm. Mac Jones.
Jones also had the one of the top 5 greatest receiving rooms of all time.
I mean, a Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah,
receiver. No, I mean, what he won one with Tua, but he didn't win one with Bryce.
But Tua didn't. That was when Tua came off the bench.
Yeah,
did Tua win one as a starter, like a full-blown starter?
No,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's just funny to me. Like, yeah, you could say, well, yeah, Nick Saban is the greatest college football coach of all time. Absolutely. But he literally carried the entire conference.
Not to me, but yeah.
He carried the entire conference.
Mm-hmm.
The whole SEC propaganda is built upon Nick Saban. And each year, the further we get removed from Nick Saban coaching, the more chips in the armor that come away from them.
Do you think there's going to be a lot of suitors for Lagway? Because I think benching Lagway yesterday kind of like nail in the coffin portal.
Yeah, I mean, there's just too much talent there.
Yeah, I was just curious.
His arm is huge. Everything is just too much talent.
I think that Cignetti's going to have his pick of the litter.
Yeah.
And someone tweeted a really good point.
Although, do you think, I wonder how he feels about Fernando Mendoza's brother? Just saying.
It's not happening, dude.
You don't think there was some sort of like underwritten, non-written rule for Mendoza to come there? Like
for Cignetti?
I'm just asking the question.
You know what this is? Tagovailoa is all over again. Who was Cignetti was with Nick Saban way before.
That is an outstanding point.
Yeah. Talia was at Alabama.
Yeah.
Talia was never going to play at Alabama.
Although he could spin it.
He could. At an Alabama level, no. And they were not going to take that risk, send him to Maryland with Loxley. But he was like, they were the package at Alabama.
Speaking of Mike Loxley, I got catfished on Twitter. That somebody said that he was going to get fired and he's not getting fired.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, my point still holds true about what I said. If you're Kirby Smart, you got to call him and be like, yo, how much money is it going to take for you to come be my offensive coordinator?
I mean, that could literally be his Chip Kelly.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
you just call Mike Loxley, like, bro, do you want to keep losing, Or do you want to just come call plays for me?
Yeah.
Like, you can just be the head coach of the offense. And I'll just bring you all the 5 stars you could ever want.
Just real quick on my final Big Ten SEC thing, I think that Lagway should strongly consider going to USC. And I think, and I do know, I do know that there.
Although according to Josh Pate, Lincoln Riley's not going to be there.
That's 100% false in terms of what I've been told, but which I haven't told anything from anybody really of note. But I think that my hot take today is that Lagway will end up, and this is just a guess, that Lagway will end up playing in the Big Ten next year.
Is Jaden Maeva going to enter the draft? Is he?
I don't know, and
I think he might stay.
I think he might stay too. But if I'm Lagway, I'm going to either USC or Oregon. I'm hoping that one of those two kids goes.
Yeah. Oh man.
But again, just crazy times, like watching all these big time quarterbacks get benched. It is nuts. Auburn versus Vandy. Vandy almost got eliminated, went to OT. I know I disagree with a lot of people. I think DJ Durkin is the most likely to get promoted into a head coach from the interims. And this team definitely played really hard for him.
Yeah.
And it was cool to see a defensive coordinator come in, be the interim head coach. You know what the first thing he said was? You're calling plays. We're not doing the you on first, you on second, you on third. You're calling plays.
And look what happened. Look what happened.
The offense
scored a bunch of points.
Mm-hmm. They lost to Vandy. But
I would have loved for them to beat Vanderbilt. Oh, I would have loved it.
Me too. Me too, 100%. Is there anything else I'm forgetting over the weekend from the weekend?
I don't think so. It was kind of a vanilla weekend. It was exciting in the sense of like the games played, but as far as like there was no real drama. No, I was a little surprised that Louisville lost. The ACC is drunk. Nobody knows what the fuck's going on in the ACC.
Yeah, Louisville lost to Cal.
Yeah, Virginia lost finally. Like who the hell knows? Nobody knows.
Dude, that's what I was trying to say. Like in the ACC, like there's like so many like weird situations. Like I just like when in doubt, just pick who the best team is and think that it'll work itself out for that team. Like that was my point.
Texas Tech will win the Big 12. They're head and shoulders better than everybody else in the Big 12. It's not.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. Like it's definitely a mess, but like who's the best team? And that's what I keep.
Well, the ACC is a mess. I don't think the Big 12 is a mess. I think Texas Tech solved that problem. I think Texas Tech is going to make the Big 12 championship, and they're going to win that game by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I would agree. So, and I think the same is true for Ohio State in the Big 10.
I do think that my top 15 this week is the best top 15 I've made yet.
Yeah, it's that time of the show. Let's do it, Tyler. Who is your top 15?
Should I go 15-1 or 1-15?
Go 1-15 so I can keep up.
I got Ohio State, Indiana,
okay,
Texas A&M, Alabama, and where I differ from the college football playoff is I have Oregon ahead of Georgia.
Yeah,
I think Oregon's better than Georgia.
Right, that's true.
And even though Georgia may have played their second or third best game this season this weekend, I still seen Georgia just like come out flat as hell too many times. Like they're gonna get got. I have Ole Miss behind Georgia. I have Notre Dame 8th. I think Notre Dame is just really good. I don't really care that they have 2 losses. I think I try to use the whole picture, the entire painting, and rank these teams. And I think Notre Dame is just better. I know they have 2 losses. They're better. I think so. I have Texas Tech at 9. I have Georgia Tech at 10.
Okay.
This is where I think I nailed it, is 11 through 15. I have Texas at 11, Oklahoma at 12, USC at 13, Michigan at 14, and Utah at 15.
I mean that's good. I have no pushback there. I think the only thing that I would maybe push back is I think I would flip Texas Tech and Notre Dame, and that's about it.
I just think my personal belief is I think Texas Tech has probably earned the right to be ahead of Notre Dame based on their record and based on their, they have a really good win. They had the better win. But if you're asking me today, if Notre Dame and Texas Tech played on a neutral field, I think Notre Dame is better than they are. Did
you have Notre Dame ahead of Texas Tech last week too?
Yes.
Okay. Then that's fair. As long as you're consistent with it. I think that obviously
I
also am high on Texas Tech.
So am I. And I think because I think both of them are going to move up. because I think there's something is going to happen in the SEC. Some fuck shit is going to happen in the SEC.
Yeah.
Where one of these 3 teams that are up there, 4 teams that are up there, that one of them is going to lose a game they shouldn't lose. I don't know who it is, but it's fixing to happen.
Dude, it's not going to happen, I don't think. But I would love for South Carolina to just put it together and beat A&M next week.
Yeah.
They're just so garbage, dude.
I did have Texas jump up quite a bit. That was kind of an error that I had my last week. So I didn't even have Texas in the top 15. And I just realized like they are a good team. They are a good team. They just like they have the best loss in the country, and they also have a really bad loss. But I think they've beaten Oklahoma. They've beaten some good teams, and they're going to scare the shit out. If you're Georgia, just as a slight preview, Texas is going to go to Georgia with the better quarterback, the better play caller, and the better defense.
You forgot about one thing.
What?
And a bye week.
That is a scary thing for Georgia. The only thing that makes me feel like Georgia has a chance is that I still think it's at Georgia. And when Kirby Smart feels like his back is actually against the wall, he levels himself up and can get those kids to play better than they are.
For maximum chaos, I need a Texas win. Like I need air.
Yeah, Texas. I either want Texas to run the table or lose both of those games. I will be sick to my stomach if a 3-loss team makes the college football playoff. It will be so bad. I think it'll be a bad precedent.
I want it presented though. I want it presented, and I want to see the freak out afterwards.
But like, what a great thing! It would be chaos if they won both.
Mm-hmm.
Because then what happens?
No, it would. I'm saying like them having 3 losses doesn't really worry me. I'd rather them either win. I'd rather them win one and have 3 losses than lose both and be eliminated without a.
But here's the thing: what if Ole Miss backdoors their way into the SEC championship game and wins the SEC title game? Then Indiana's pretty much a lock for the number 2 seed.
Yeah, I mean, how does Ole Miss backdoor their way into the SEC title? What do they need?
Because if Georgia loses, that will be their second loss. If Texas beats Georgia, that'll be their second loss.
Yeah.
And then A&M the A&M, Texas, and Ole Miss would have 1 loss. I don't know how the tiebreaker works. I just wonder how that would. I don't know how the tiebreaker would. Ole Miss could backdoor their way into the SEC title.
Yeah, they could. They have 1 loss. They'll sneak in. But I need a Texas win next week. But anyway, that's about the hour mark. I'm Kris. That's Tyler. We'll be back, I think, Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll be back Tuesday talking, a little more college football and then a lot of Cleveland sports because there's a lot of stuff going on. And the Browns are playing right now. And last update I got, the Browns were losing to the fucking Jets. So
we're going to check on that. Make sure you like and sub. I think we're almost at 3,700 subscribers. It's been crazy growth. We appreciate you always.
We're trying to get to 5,000 subs by the game.
I would like that. We're gonna have a lot of content going out. Yeah, 100%. Anyway, I'm Kris. That's Tyler.
Peace.